Okay, Amazing Race fans. The finale is going to be on Friday, so I'm here with Paul Sheehan. We're going to talk about, what we thought of the season overall, what we think might happen in the finale. There's still 4 teams left. And Paul, I know we have very similar predictions for the finale, but they're different very, very slightly. So basically, who do you have winning?
Well, I've got Tyler and Laura winning, and then Blair and Haley coming in second. And then I've got Rochelle and Mike in third, and Jelani and Jenny in fourth. Rochelle and Mike are the only dating couple among the final 4. The other 3 are those blind date couples, which I know we'll talk about later. And it's really a shot in the dark. I mean, Tyler and Laura are strong. They have been strong throughout. They get along. Blair and Haley do not get along, but they've managed to win legs. I don't know. Why do you have Tyler and Laura winning?
I've actually had them winning for the past 6 weeks. I think before that I had Jeff and Jackie, but after they got eliminated, I had to pick a new winner. And Gold Derby, you get points per week if you stick with the same winner. So my strategy with all of these reality shows is if I'm picking someone to win, I'm not going to switch them just in case I end up being right. So I've ended up losing points for that by not going with the front runner. I've also ended up, calling some long shots that way too. But for these guys, Tyler and Laura, I just think, like you said, they're really strong. And I don't remember them fighting even. Have they even had one fight?
Maybe I think disagreement in one episode. It was not, they tried, maybe the editors tried to make it into more than it was. Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you've got the winning strategy. I bounce all over the place. And in fact, before Friday, I might even abandon Tyler and Laura. In fact, after this, as we're sitting here, I'm thinking, we keep underestimating Rochelle and Mike. I write the articles week in and week out. And, you people watching have been predicting Rochelle and Mike to go for weeks now, and they hang in. So I feel like
is that because they're out of shape and they don't have the muscles that the other teams have? Is that why you think?
Perhaps. I mean, I don't think necessarily Jelani and Jenny are particularly powerhouses in terms of their athletic prowess. I think with the way they present themselves, Rochelle and Mike, and I think we're being slightly classist. He runs a truck stop. She's a waitress there. I mean, that she's got the tattoos. She looks sort of goth. I think there's this perception that, they're sort of not as bright, therefore ... And we saw when we saw those Team Sochi, remember the Olympians get bounced out. I mean, they presented themselves well, both physically as well as in their personality. So there's a randomness to the race that I think that we forget.
Yeah. The only reason I have Rochelle and Mike in my 4th place position is because they came to the mat in 4th place in last week's episode. Yeah. And I think most seasons they would have been eliminated, but this season they have 4 teams in the finale. So, and Phil said they're going to eliminate a team before they get to the finish line. So I just think, they're in last place now. Maybe they won't be able to recover. Unless, are they going to go right from the pit stop to the plane, at which point everyone's kind of even?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And I think that's a good point to be made, these equalizers, right? Because now they've got to travel all the way to America. I think they're going to Dallas. And so they will catch up, and then they will have that speed bump. But, it's been this season, and I think we're agreed that of the 2 seasons, season 25 and this one, this is the weaker of the 2 for so many reasons. But starting with that, in every non-elimination leg, the subsequent episode has seen the elimination of the team that was saved. I mean, there's no great suspense. These episodes, and I don't think there have been more non-elimination legs, but it just feels like not a lot happens in each and every episode. It doesn't have the tension that we love in the race. I mean, what do you think?
The non-elimination legs are something I have hated since season 1. I just feel like it's such such a waste of time, really. I mean, I'm watching these shows for them to be narrowed down, the people to be narrowed down until there's a winner. And on The Amazing Race, it just seems there's 4 weeks where, maybe 3 weeks, but where there was no elimination. And I think what they need to do is just have more teams at the beginning of the race. Instead of having 11, was it? They should have 14 teams. And
or conversely, not like, I remember they've done this in the past where the pit stop, what you just said, is keep racing right from the pit stop. So in other words, you don't necessarily have to eliminate a team every week, but don't make it a non-elimination leg. Just we're still racing. In other words, the penalty that Rochelle and Mike might have undergone if they were, say, a couple of hours behind is they're going to miss the flight to Dallas, the one that's the easiest connection. They're good, something like that. I think that would be much more interesting. We were talking about this, I know, about the non-elimination legs, and in the original iterations, it was that you lost your backpacks, you lost all your money, you were not lost. They were taken from you, and you had to beg on the street and all that. And then they got rid of that, and they added the speed bump. Right. That's not a. Yeah, I'm with you, Marcus. What I do like are the U-turns. I mean, I think that's fun and strategy, and it's so interesting when we talk to the teams throughout the season and the ones that get eliminated. You know, how often people say, well, you know, I didn't want to U-turn this really strong team because I was friends with them. And it's like, when do these people forget they're in a race for $1 million?
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know about you. I have lots of friends. I don't need to make new friends among the people that are competing to win $1 million.
And I have an idea of how to make the U-turns even better.
Oh.
I think at the beginning of the race, each team should get like a U-turn ticket or something. You get maybe 2 tickets, and every single leg will have a U-turn option. You could use one of your tickets then, or you could hold it for the next week. Because the way it is now, there's 2 U-turns a season, maybe 3, I'm not sure. But I think there could be a U-turn every single episode, and it's just a matter of whether the teams want to use their tickets or not.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah, and it's. I mean, this season, I will say, has disappointed me in many levels, including the original conceit, the blind date aspect of it, which is, I didn't really understand, I guess, other than as a sociological experiment, like dating couples versus blind date couples, which would do better, and we've seen the blind date couples have done better. Like, it would have been more interesting to me if all 11 teams were blind date couples. If you're going to do that. But that's not what I want on the race. What I like on the race is watching existing relationships either flourish or flounder, you know, to see parents and child suddenly bonding, or really reverting back to, you know, when the child was really a child. Couples battling, you see marriages, the cracks are exposed, or couples coming together in a more close fashion. So I don't like the blind date aspect of it. What about you?
I like that they at least tried something new. I mean, it's season 26, is it? So, I mean, if they do the same thing every single season, people would get bored. So I'm really glad they tried something new. I agree it's not the best season. It's probably one of the most forgettable seasons. And I'm trying to think, when's the last time they actually did an all-star season? Was it two seasons ago? But
I can't remember.
I like when they bring the all-stars back. If they wanted to, you know, do a way of shaking it up. You know, Survivor had a great season. It was probably 5 years ago now, where they did heroes versus villains. I mean, why not just copy that? Have like villain teams that were known for their evilness against like some of the most heroic teams, and see what that would be like. That would be a great way to switch up the race.
Yeah,
I like the blind date aspect, but I miss the father-daughter teams and the sister teams, and you know, everyone this season had a date. It wasn't like there was no families, there was nothing like that.
Right. No, I agree with you. But so when we were talking earlier, we were sort of agreed that last season, the 25th anniversary one, was a much stronger season for the viewer, but also I think for an Emmy judging panel. I think there's lots of good stuff in there, and it was special being the silver anniversary.
Right, I agree. And they had some better, not better, but they had more memorable teams. The winner, I love the winners. It was Amy and Maya, right?
Yes. Well, and that's where, right, I mean, there's been, and that's why with Rochelle and Mike this time, like Amy and Maya, we kind of had written off. What I liked, what they introduced at one point in the race was sort of the final, was based on your knowledge of what had happened in the past. It wasn't purely a physical task. And I hope that we see that on Friday night, something like that, where you have to be keeping track. Because certainly when they brought that in, that was a big like aha moment, like, oh my gosh, yeah. Remember they had to, like, you know, what was the greeter at the mat wearing, or what did they say, or what, you know, the order. Those kinds of things are fun. So I hope we see something like that on Friday. And then the one, I mean, I remember there was one episode this year where, oh, well, you know, there was a roadblock, no, where only a certain number of teams could do something. And then the others had to get the detour, I guess, where they had to go to the other. And it's like, oh, really? Like, I don't know. I guess you know, I've been watching this since the very first episode. And I guess, as you said, I mean, 26 seasons, 10 or 11 legs every season. I mean, that's 260 or 75 episodes of television. So the achievement is a lot. But you're a huge Survivor fan, which has even more seasons. And yet, like you said, they're constantly refreshing Survivor, including this year, right? Haven't they got something in mind for this upcoming season that we're already talking about at Gold Derby?
Yeah, it's really exciting. For the first time ever, we can kind of predict. We can predict at Gold Derby, and as fans, you can vote for who's going to be the next cast. And they've never done this before. They've done all-star cast before, but the producers always chose. This time, America gets to choose. And I've already voted. I hope people at home have voted. And you can go in our prediction center now and predict who you think America will choose. I think for the most part, it's going to be pretty obvious. I mean, there are 32 choices, and they're going to pick 20. So it's going to be 10 guys and 10 girls. For the most part, it's going to be pretty easy to pick at least 15 of the 20, because really some of them, I've seen every episode. Some of them I didn't even remember, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, that would be great if The Amazing Race took a page out of that. That would be fun, because I think it was only a couple of years ago they did All-Stars. But I like the second chances, the ones that screwed up in some way or other and got to come back. Because it does amaze me when we get to talk to these people after they've been eliminated, and you do want to say to them over and over, had you ever seen an episode of the race? Like leaving your passport in a cab, or not reading the clue fully, or not learning how to drive a stick shift before you go on the race. I mean, these are, right? Marcus, if you and I went, I mean, wouldn't we have knocked all those things out? Wouldn't you have?
Exactly. Yeah.
Go into training. You know you're going to have to swim, probably. You know you're going to have to definitely drive a stick shift. You have to drive on the other side of the road. Read a map. I mean, really? Is it really that hard? Or learn a little bit in certain languages. You know, you can learn just a few phrases. What I thought's been interesting, and I don't know if it's been in the editing or if they've changed the rules. In previous seasons, we've seen, because this race is hugely popular around the world. I mean, we have people at Gold Derby entering from different parts of the world because they watch it on satellite. And we've seen contestants conscripting people on a train or a subway that help them, show them a way. Maybe the rules have been changed to not allow that anymore. But that was always fun to see some passerby get caught up in the action for a few minutes.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't that happen to Brendan and Rachel, the old Big Brother couple? I feel like they got helped a lot on the race. They still didn't win, though, did they?
I don't think so. Oh gosh, that's right. Yeah,
I think they got third. But another change this season that I like is we get to see more of Phil, because Phil, in the past, he's just at the pit stop, or he's just talking to the camera about what the detour will be or whatever. But now he's actually he's there when the first team kind of arrives and picks a clue, like halfway through the leg. So part of me is wondering, are they doing this just to give him more face time to win that Emmy if he gets nominated? Because the way it is now, he's only in such a small amount of the episode. He can never win with a submission against someone like Jane Lynch, who's in the full episode of her show.
Right. And I know you were always predicting Jeff Probst when he was nominated because he's such an integral part of the show. So, yeah, I don't know. With Phil, you're right. It's even just the nomination, I think, would be the reward. And I think he's an executive producer. So all those times they win for Best Reality Competition Series. And I think you can certainly see why they win versus some of the others, only because they're standalone episodes in the sense they're travelogue, they're fun. You don't really have to know a lot about there's not the psychological game playing that happens in, say, Survivor, whereas if you just watch one episode of Survivor, if you just drop in on it, it would be hard to fully appreciate.
That's a good point. I never really considered that. Of course, Survivor's big problem is that it's not even nominated anymore, so it's not even able to submit those episodes, which is a crime. It's an Emmy crime.
Well, we'll know on Friday whether or not our predictions come true. I think I've talked myself into changing to Rochelle and Mike. I'm going to sacrifice any points I might have had for holding on to Tyler and Laura, because Rochelle and Mike's odds are longer, so that would get me more points if they win. So
do you have the official odds? I just pulled those up, so we should tell everyone. These are the combined odds at Gold Derby. Tyler and Laura have 5-4 odds, which translates to 44%. That's pretty good. And then Blair and Haley, they have 2-1 odds to win, and that's 33%. Third place is Rochelle and Mike. So they're actually in third place right now. And maybe if you bump them up and some other people, they will go up higher, because that's the way the odds work at Gold Derby. The more people that predict someone, the higher they go. So Rochelle and Mike, they have 13-2 odds, and that's 13%. And then Jelani and Jenny, they're expected to lose in fourth place, actually.
Well, I think they're lawyers, so they've already lost in life. So. All right. Well, maybe we'll talk after next week and get some feedback from people. So anyway, just whoever's watching this, be sure you've made your predictions. You could be in with a chance to win $100 and some glory and be a place on our leaderboards. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.